We're here at the CrowdStrike Government Summit with James Yeager, Vice President, Public Sector and Healthcare for CrowdStrike. James, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'd like to start by asking you to talk a little bit about the fact that federal agencies have been pushing to operationalize the Executive Order 14028 and achieve a zero trust security posture. What are the biggest challenges from your perspective that still exist for these agencies, and what are the gaps that they need to overcome, either technical or operational?
Sure. Yeah, so there has been some progress towards operationalizing the executive order, and that's been in motion for some time now, but it hasn't been without some challenges, as you've noted, and some of its barriers. And some of that is probably to be expected. It's hard to get things done in this town from time to time. You got to have a great amount of patience and really kind of perseverance as well. Look, the government has got some of their finest people on this endeavor, and there's a lot of opportunity for us to kind of advance the agenda, but some of the things that continue to hold the departments and agencies back are some of the typical stuff that have been barriers for progress in other arenas over the last several years. So you heard George Kurtz on stage earlier today talk about legacy technology and the kind of antiquity that mires a lot of these environments, the brick and mortar that's been in place for decades on end in some cases, and then the government-wide programs that have that technology kind of permeated throughout them. It's hard to move from a battleship to a speedboat, right? And so, but there is opportunity there. I think one of the things that the government can do, and this is on both sides, I mentioned the fantastic people, the talented people that are architecting these designs. I think we need to start to prove some of it out, right? I think the government's done a good job by laying out the fact that this isn't a one-size-fits-all model, right? There's multiple ways to kind of skin this cat, but there needs to be some money lent, and it's around the corner. It's available towards doing prototyping and doing paid pilots. If you go talk to DISA and spend some time in the Pentagon, which we have of late, they'll tell you that they're ready to start lending some of those resources out. So that's available, help is on the way. And then the departments and the agencies also need to probably be a little bit more assertive with going to them and saying, hey, look, we think we got a pretty good framework here, and we got to go prove it out.
And as you know, as identity-based attacks become more prevalent, how can zero trust security help prevent this attack vector?
Well, it's a complicated one, and the prevalence is increasing. 2 years ago, CrowdStrike Intelligence assessed that 80% of attacks in this arena involved the use or the misuse of identity and credentials. If you go to CrowdStrike's website and you download our shameless plug here, 2023 Global Threat Intelligence Report, you'll see that number increased year over year. So it's well over 100% year over year. So the adversaries kind of found something that they like. And when they do that, they take advantage of it and they show no signs of relenting. So the problem gets worse before it gets any better, and we need to recognize that. But really kind of attacking the problem head on requires a few different things. There's a few elements that I'll call out, three maybe. So the first is constant and continuous verification. This concept of trust but verify needs to kind of go away. This is almost now trust never, trust nothing, always verify in real time, and having that lens on acutely focused in real time all the time. The second is limiting the blast radius. So we know that attacks are no longer kind of if equations, they're when. So having the visibility to be able to detect that the attack is happening, to be able to mitigate the risk very rapidly. And then third, which is kind of related to that, is we need to automate the collection of and the kind of contextualization of the data sets that we're using to kind of fuel the defense of these attacks. It can't be manual. That almost kind of defies some of the principles that exist within zero trust.
And then lastly, James, how has CrowdStrike helped government organizations and the public sector on their zero trust journey? What can you point to there?
Well, we're doing a lot of great work in partnership. One of the themes of this morning has been around collaboration, right? We don't do it alone. We need to do it in great partnership with our customers. That includes federal, it includes state and local, includes the defense industrial base. It's been some time now that CrowdStrike has established its position as the leader in EDR. But the definition of EDR and kind of the aperture of the scope of the threat has changed significantly, right? So visibility of what's going on in kind of the core principles of your environment, servers, desktops, PCs, that's important. We got to have it. But it's also about incorporating mobile. It's about incorporating identity. It's about incorporating visibility into what you're seeing in your cloud environments, right? Getting all of that into that one common operating picture that everyone keeps talking about. And then the other thing that I would say is we can't do it alone, right? We want this to be frictionless. We want it to be easy. We want customers to be able to ingest data from multiple sources. So I look at some of the stuff that we're doing with strategic partners and CISA and the departments and agencies. I look at what we're doing with the states and what we're doing with the Center for Internet Security and the MSISAC. There's great progress being made there. There's proof points that are available. But again, it's not just CrowdStrike alone. It's our strategic partners all coming together, giving the customer access to more information in real time.
Well, James Yeager, thank you so much for joining us here and also kind of leading the way here at the CrowdStrike Government Summit.
Happy to be here.